a lot of these sort of things come from an artificial distinction that religious people make. It's kind of like, oh, that's a chemical reaction, so it's not valuable. They only can say that because they have this idea of a soul or a god, and that's some higher, more majestic place for feelings to come from. But there's no reason to think any of those things are there. We are nothing but chemical reactions. So discovering more of them doesn't really change anything. It just is like, oh, we found another. Good job to us. But since they want it to be from a soul, chemical reaction means, oh, that's lesser than what I thought, so that means it's bad.
Well, especially when they try to tie in the whole God is love argument. So, God is love, therefore love cannot be just a chemical reaction in your brain.
And then they'll
I
try.
also
Well, yeah, no, I was
go
gonna
ahead.
say they'll try to argue that like if you don't believe in God, then you are incapable of love, which is completely ridiculous. Because they'll say like all love comes from God or through God or something like that. And like you guys have been talking about, this idea that if you reduce our emotions to chemical reactions, that somehow they're invalidated or they're not, it doesn't mean anything. That's not really a good argument. I mean, because that's really what it is anyways, and it's how we react to that. It's how we incorporate that. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people who are attracted to other people who are not good for them. There's a lot of abusive relationships that people keep going back to because of, their brain is telling them like, oh, I love this person makes me feel good or whatever, and yet in reality, it's not at all good for them. But because of, what the response they're getting from their body from these hormones or neurotransmitters and all these things, they end up making bad decisions because their emotions being caused by these chemicals are affecting their judgment. And I did just want to mention real quick too, there's a video by Robert Sapolsky, who is a professor of biology and neurology at Stanford University, that everybody can look up, called Dopamine Jackpot. And it's a fairly concise video. I think it's like 5, 6, 7 minutes, and he just talks about how dopamine works in primates. Like he compares, I think, monkeys to human beings, and at the end he kind of goes into how this works into religion, how humans. He kind of posits that dopamine isn't the reward itself, but it's the anticipation of the reward, and there's like some data to back that up. And then basically how religion is like, humans use that throughout their life in anticipation of the reward that comes at the end of their life. So it's pretty interesting stuff. I will post the link in the comments if anybody wants to check that out. But I just wanted to mention that. So if anybody else has anything to say on that.
Yeah, one other thing, GE. There's been a lot of recent studies that showed that the hormones and chemicals that are released in your brain when you cue some of the more natural things that we come across, such as food. Food releases, I guess it was like 10 to 15 times the amount of dopamine when you have something that you really like, a food that you really like. And this could be leading up to the problem that we have with obesity here in America. Food can be an addictive thing because of these chemicals that are released in the brain. Well, I kind of want to correlate this with, do you think that religion is an addiction? Can it be an addiction based on the release of these chemicals in the brain? And since emotions are one of those natural things, and it's not a real drug like crack, heroin, or things like that, which are not as addictive, do you think that religion is addictive and they're using these chemicals in the brain to fuel that addiction?
Before Dieter goes, I want to interject. I'm gonna let you finish, Dieter, but first, okay. Yeah, I would say that there could be a pretty good argument that it could be seen as that, just because of the fact that it is like a Band-Aid. Having these dopamine levels released or raised or whatnot. The way that preachers and pastors control a crowd's internal processes, chemicals and whatnot like that. The pure fact that it's not like it's not like it's not like their dopamine level or whatnot is raised permanently or something like that. That's not what happens. What happens is, you get that burst of dopamine or whatnot due to, however you're feeling at the time, whatever memory that he evoked or something like that. And so it's kind of like you're chasing that. You want to feel that again, and you get that whenever you pray. I know when I was growing up, and coming out of my religion, a lot of people would tell me just how good they felt about praying to God and whatnot, and whatever. And so, I didn't know the specifics about it at the time, but now I can see that they're really just chasing that feeling. They're trying to get their dopamine fix for the day, kind of. And so I think that it could be seen as that, especially with how people react to you questioning their faith or questioning their God because you're messing with their supplier.
One other thing, just because this is such an important topic, probably one of the most important. Oh yeah, forgot about Dieter. Sorry.
I think you can go, Dieter. He's done being Kanye West right now.
Hold on, I'm gonna let you go, but I got one of the best questions on the Reason Show tonight.
Well, save that for a second, because I'm talking. And I think my connection's getting weird, because you guys are flickering in and out. Anyway, a lot of things that G was saying has to do with overactive stimuli, which is amusingly exactly the reason that a lot of drugs work on humans, and a lot of the reasons why McDonald's works on humans, is you have stimuli that we evolved to desire, and then science-y people or industrious business people took advantage of it and just went crazy. Like, there's a talk that I put in our chat, and if anyone can figure out how to put that in the chat room, go for it. This is Dr. Andy Thompson, and he discusses, like, neurologically why people in general believe in gods, and it has to do a lot with the desire to feel like your life is doing something. It also has a lot to do with things like being able to see patterns in things, being able to be obsessed with cause and effect, and it's just a lot of these super active stimuli that exist in the world around us, and religious people just took advantage of them and wrote them into their religions. So in the same way that people are definitely going to see, like, a cause where there is no cause, they're going to see a creator where there is no creator. It's like religion is basic biology, just gone crazy.